I heard that. Welcome back, party people. It's the BMR NBA Odds Show, brought to you by Bookmakers Review. I am Jordan Sharp. We're joined as always by Junior Browne. It's a beautiful Friday slate of NBA action, and if you were tuned in yesterday here for the Thursday show, you'd know that we won a little money yesterday. At least I did. Here, went 1-0, cashed in under in that Bucks Warriors game. Warriors don't look like right now without Draymond Green, and the Bucks definitely took advantage of that. Giannis had a huge first half that they just coasted pretty much from start to finish of that one. But yeah, pretty wild slate yesterday, Junior. How'd you end up?
I went 1-on-1. I had Memphis in the first half, which did not cash. They ended up winning the game outright, but I did not cash that play. My other play was the under in that Golden State Milwaukee game. I didn't really know what to expect after that first half because Golden State looked so just bad. And Milwaukee looked so unstoppable, but the second half evened itself out and was able to cash that. I think the problem for Golden State, which we'll get into a little bit later, but I think one of their main problems is that now that Klay Thompson's back, some of the other guys, mainly Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins, don't exactly know what to do. Like, those guys were like, Jordan Poole was like 2A, Andrew Wiggins is like 2B on offense, right? Mm-hmm. Now they're bumped down to like 3 and 4, but who's 3, who's 4? How is that going to work itself out? I think, anyways, I'm talking too much because we're going to get into that a little bit later when we talk about Golden State, but that's going to be interesting to watch over the next coming little bit. But other than that, though, I'm just ready to get into today's slate. I didn't really have too many plays yesterday, other than the 2 on the show. That I'm, really willing to talk about. How about yourself? How did it go for you other than the one play you had on the show?
I won it. I should have jumped on the Pelicans first half pool game yesterday. That was something we talked about. It was something that we were kind of all thinking about, and that was one that I should have jumped on, and I didn't. And I ended up having to put that personal play on Jokic to score 30 or more. But then, of course, that game was such a blowout that he played like 25 minutes, and they were basically non-existent in the second half. So that was kind of doomed from the start, from how Portland ended up yesterday. So 1-0 in the show, but yeah, 1-1 personally. And then, yeah, like I said, a little bit of missed out on that New Orleans pick, and that under too. We talked about the under as well in that game, so it was kind of a little disappointing. But like I said, those tend to bother me more than the losses, the ones that I was right on and just didn't have the guts to jump on. But we're going to try to jump on some plays here today. That's what you're here for. Let's move it on to the first game of the day, and it's actually a pretty interesting one. Phoenix Suns heading in downtown town here, right down the street from me here to the Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Play the Pacers tonight. Suns a 5.5 road favorite. Probably the total is where I'm interested here a little bit more in this game at 220 points. Indiana does tend to get up for the big opponents coming to town regardless of who it is. And whereas the Suns obviously are a better home team, but they travel too, and it wouldn't surprise me to see them be able to take this one here. But the injury situation for both teams a little bit cloudy here. Cameron Johnson questionable, Malcolm Brogdon questionable for the Pacers. I don't have anything on this game. I think if I did, I'd probably lean towards the under at 220 points, just simply because we know that Phoenix is going to defend, and I think Indiana's defense is probably pretty better, a little bit better at home than it is on the road for sure, because they've been at times pretty bad looking defensively on the road here. So the home team advantage, home court advantage, I should say, and the crowd being amped up tonight should help them on that end of the court here. But nothing for me. What do you got here on this one, JB?
Sun. I like this spot for the Suns. I like this matchup for the Suns. I think if the Suns decide to go small ball, that'll really be a problem for Indiana. I think if the Suns decide to match up straight up, now that they have their big men back, they can do that as well. I think that Malcolm Brogdon being out really puts the Pacers in a spot where they truly don't have someone that's going to be an effective point guard out there, and that's a recipe for disaster against Chris Paul and this Suns team. So the Suns team is super heavy on the wings, and I feel like that's going to be a real problem for Indiana. Indiana's only won 2 of their last 10 games. And during that stretch, their defense has really fallen off a cliff. So I just think that Anything under 6, which is obviously, Jordan, I always preach this. It's the most I'll lay for any road team, including the elite teams. I feel at 5.5, I'm pretty comfortable with laying that with the Suns team against a Pacers team that's really kind of lacking in direction right now. They're kind of in a rebuild mode, but they're not making any moves. They're pretty stagnant right now. So I think after Phoenix got their asses kicked the other day, they bounced back against Toronto, but they didn't really play that well in that game. I expect them to look to right the ship in a spot where they should win this game, more often than not. Again, 5.5 points is a lot on the road. Phoenix's margin of victory is like 7. Their margin of victory on the road is right about at this mark. It's actually like 5.2, 5.3, I think. So it's basically right around what the spread is. Again, I like the spot against this team. Laying the points with the Suns.
If Brogdon is out again, I may have to jump on there with you because you're right. The guard matchups alone, I think, give you a lot of concern if you're backing the Pacers here tonight against Chris Paul and Devin Booker. Like, I don't see who stays in front of them. And on the flip side, when you have Mikal Bridges being able to basically stick on Karis LeVert the entire night, if he is indeed your main ball handler this evening and you're having to run things through him and Sabonis and those guys, Suns are very well equipped to kind of slow this team down. They match up very well with the Pacers. So, yeah, I kind of agree with you. I kind of lean towards the Suns as well, son. Let's get to another game here. We got Boston heading into Philly here tonight to play the Sixers. This is another one where I think I wish I would have jumped on the total last night. It's gone down from 214 to 209.5 in some spots, 210 depending on which shop you're looking at. Philly coming in as a 3.5-point favorite. Not a team, either team I really look to trust on a night-to-night basis. In fact, I think you could probably say that I faded both these teams more than I have taken them at about a 2-1 margin. That being said, I have to think it's Philly or nothing here for me, but I'm definitely not going to get involved in this game. Like I said, I missed the total movement, which is where the value was overnight. If you didn't get on that, then maybe you can take a shot at this 210-point total. Divisional game should be pretty contested one way or the other. That being said, I don't know if I can trust Boston's defense right now against this Philly team. What do you think about this one, Junior? Do you think I'm missing something here? Or are you in agreement that this one's a stay-away spot?
It's a stay-away spot for me. I kind of sort of had my eye on the first half over 101 points. That's a pretty low number. So maybe I could get involved in an over 101.5. Like you mentioned, the game total is like 210. So that's way less than half of the game total. The problem with these two teams, first of all, two of the teams that I stay far away from, is that they're so unpredictable right now. To say that I know for sure they're going to do something against anybody is a definite reach. I think that Joel Embiid can have his way, but I also think that here's my problem with the Sixers. They don't have a point guard. There's no point guard on that team. And without a point guard, it's really hard for me to know what their offense is going to look like from one night to another. Like, their leading assist guy is Tyrese Maxey with like 4.5 assists a game. That's really not good. And it's not like Doc Rivers is drawing up offenses that are breaking the mold. Essentially, all they do is run this like version of corners offense where they overload one side of the court and let Joel Embiid catch the ball in the high post on the other side so he can go one-on-one, or they just run everything through him, right? So their offense is super one-dimensional. I can never say that I know what's going to go on with them, because at least in the past, you could say that their defense was going to be solid and you could count on it. And it's much better recently than it was at the beginning of the season. I'll give them that. I'm being kind of contradictory. That's why I don't have an official play. I'm saying over because 101.5 seems like a really low number. But Philly's defense has gotten better. You mentioned Boston's defense is super unreliable. Everything that I've just said is just a bunch of I don't knows or questions. more questions than answers type scenario, I don't see an advantage either side. So I'm just kind of off it for that reason.
Yeah, that you said it, man. Philly's offense at times is just hard to watch, and on the flip side,
it sucks.
Yeah, and I mean, I like part of that. You're right. Is like, oh, well, imagine that Ben Simmons sitting out there, they're going to look bad on offense. They don't have a point guard. I mean, yeah, that's kind of a given, but also you're right. Like some of the blame has to be on Doc Rivers as well. I mean, it seems like this team just starts out strong over the last couple of years and then starts to fade because teams just very easily figure out what they're trying to do. Now that they don't have Ben Simmons, it's even more glaring. And I think Embiid, like his assist totals have gone up this year, but they need to be up a little bit more if they're going to be a coherent offense, because you're right, it doesn't flow very well at times. And also, I'm glad you mentioned that first half, because that was the other thing I was looking at in this game, with the really low total. But these two teams just a snail's pace in first halves this year. I think Philly at home is dead last in pace in the first half. Boston on the road is kind of similar, around 26, 27. So yeah, this one, if both teams are engaged defensively, and you can know that, which, like you said, that there's no pinning down these teams absolutely ever. You can't predict what they're going to do on a night-to-night basis whatsoever. But if they do bring the defense tonight, I could very easily see this being one where it falls under 100 points. But you're right. Like Philly has been different in that regard. So I mean, it's hard to tell what they're going to do on a night-to-night basis.
Oh, can I say something before you go on to the next game?
Please do.
The other problem I have with betting Philly in any situation, I haven't really talked much about Boston because I feel like I slander them way too much. Maybe just because I have a lot of friends that are Boston fans and they just cry about how much shit I talk about Boston. But as far as Philly goes, look, their second leading scorer on the season is Tobias Harris. How long is he going to be on the team? In case you're not paying attention, they're openly shopping Tobias Harris as we speak. Tobias Harris, meanwhile, is kind of like beefing with the Philly fans. I don't know if you saw like a week or so ago. They were booing him. Then he did something, and then he turned around and was like, yo, don't fucking cheer for me. Like, it's getting ugly out there, you know what I'm saying? And these little subplots have an effect on team chemistry and on the vibe around the team, on everything that you do. If you know that the second... I'm going to say he's the second best guy on the team by default, I suppose. The second highest paid player on the team has one foot out the door. What does that do for you guys as a group? Like, how do you feel about that? There's just a lot of uncertainty going on in Philadelphia, so that's why I kind of stay away from them at all costs right now.
I mean, Philly fans, you got to wise up, man. It's not Tobias Harris's fault he got all that money, and they gave it to him and not Jimmy Butler. But it's the blame is on Tobias Harris a little bit. But I don't think you can just straight up boo Tobias Harris for getting $40 million a year and ended up not being worth it. I mean, like, to be honest, most people saw that coming. Like, it's not that's not.
What's
Tobias
he supposed
Harris
to do? Turn down the money?
I mean, exactly. I really just don't understand the booing Tobias Harris thing either. I could go on more on that, but we gotta move on. I got plays on these last two games here, so let's keep it moving. A game of the night probably in most circles. Golden State coming off of a back-to-back here in Chicago to play the Bulls. Bulls had a little bit of a funky schedule with the makeup game on Wednesday, but more rested than Golden State, obviously. Probably a little healthier too, even though they're still missing some of those main defensive guys that they've been counting on all year. Caruso still not ready to come back. Javonte Green, Derrick Jones Jr. now is going to be out for next 4 to 6 weeks, it seems like. So you have some defenders down for this team, but you also have, Draymond Green probably still not ready to come back. We know Klay Thompson coming off a back-to-back is not going to play tonight. So as we mentioned earlier, Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, those guys going to get some more shots here. I said I have a play on this game. Actually, I was joking. I don't have a play on this game. I got one on that we're not talking about here. But if I did have a play on this game, I think I would probably have to go with the Bulls here, just simply because fading Golden State on the back-to-back, knowing that probably two of their starters are not going to play. And even though the Bulls, not necessarily the healthiest team either, the rest advantage and getting shellacked like they did recently, I think is going to come to play as well. So slightly into the Bulls here, just laying 2 points. There's a 1.5 minus 115 on the board here as well. But I don't think I've faded Golden State many times, if any, this season. So it's hard for me to get involved now. Do you think I'm on the right direction here? And if you had a play on this one, where would you go?
Yo, Jordan, are you looking like locally? Because I see that the game opened at 1.5, but I see 3.5
Yeah, the
everywhere.
first half line. Thank you. Yeah, that was the
Okay.
correct.
I was gonna be like, son, let me Weston give you some
which
money.
book are you looking at, right? I know. Send me some Bitcoin here. I can get you down. No, unfortunately, that's not the case. I was just looking at the first half line. Although that first half line is a little bit appealing, still at 2, whereas the full game line has gone up from 1.5 to 3.5. But yeah, thank you for that correction.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I swear to God, I was just like, because you're in the Midwest. I'm sure for some of these Chicago, Indiana games, you probably get spreads that are a little bit different than the rest of the country. So just double checking there. But obviously missed out on the value of that opening line, which was Chicago minus 1.5. At 3.5, I'm actually kind of inclined to take the Warriors, but again, that's just like that seems like a bit of a reach with the injury problems that they have. I do think, though, that something you mentioned that I had touched on before, that some of the other guys, because Golden State's offense has been pretty garbage recently, which is why I can't take the points with them. Over their last, I think, 4 games, they're barely scoring 100 points a game. Over the last 5 games. They're barely getting 100 points a game, so I don't. 3.5 is not enough to take with this team, not right now, anyways. Especially against a Chicago team at home. That if you watch that Brooklyn game, didn't look like the Bulls team that we've seen the whole season, in the sense that in the second half, they were kind of doing that Boston Celtics thing.
Yeah, and DeRozan was off to that game, so it was like Levine was making shots and also wasn't, getting as many looks as he probably should have. And just the chemistry was kind of all off in that game. It was very weird.
It was very weird. I'm glad you watched that game too, because that game was just weird. I don't think they play like that again. I think that they do a much better job of actually running their offense, and that's something that I've been trying to pay attention to. Some teams, I look at them and I'm just like, why are they slumping? Why is this team that has such good offensive players just not playing well? And you really watch, bro, and some teams just kind of go through the motions on offense, or some teams kind of don't. Literally, this is a problem that Brooklyn sometimes has. Brooklyn will spend 50% of the game not even really running any plays. They just run a high pick and roll, super simple set that just turns into James Harden or Kevin Durant bailing them out one-on-one. Now, when they need baskets in specific situations, they will run specific sets and specific plays. But it's just kind of well, why don't you guys do that more often? The only team in the league that I really see that runs an offense that doesn't have specific sets where they just have different motions that actually works is the Bucks. The Bucks, if you look at them, try to figure out what play they're going to run. You kind of don't really know. They just have a certain position on the court where each guy goes and do different actions, whether it's a dribble handoff, a pin down, or whatever it is, right? So I feel like some of these teams, though, the Bulls being one of them, if they get into the my turn, your turn thing that the Celtics love to do, that's when the wheels are going to start falling off for these guys. They have to stay within the structure of their offense where Levine and DeRozan basically get the same amount of shots, and then Vucevic is right there behind them in third. Everybody else can contribute, but they got a deep roster. They got some good players, and I expect them to actually bounce back tonight. That's kind of why I'm off of it, because this line is extremely sharp. I think at 3 or 2.5, I'm taking the Bulls, but at minus 3.5, I don't know. I'm just kind of worried that Golden State still has, just a pride factor. They were getting their asses whooped yesterday in the first half. And they could have rolled over in that second half knowing that they had a back-to-back situation tonight, and they didn't. They actually came out and played really hard in that second half. So it kind of makes me a little bit leery to just go ahead and fade them blindly tonight. I think, if anything, bro, I've already been thinking it. The more I talk about it, the more I can get talked into an early Golden State play, like a Golden State first quarter plus 1.5, which is available in a couple places. So yeah, No official play on this game. The narrative for Golden State kind of worries me that they look really bad, but they still play defense.
Yes.
They still have pride. They showed me that yesterday in a situation where, bro, they were down 40 points in the first half yesterday. 40. Like, when was the last time you saw any team down 40 in the first half? Milwaukee had 77 points in the first half, and I was like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, what is, like, seriously though, I was like, what is this? Like, how is Golden State just coming and just rolling over in this situation? Because they really look like they came and just folded. But they came out in the third quarter, really put together a very, very strong effort. They couldn't have looked worse in the second quarter. I know that. So sorry, I'm kind of rambling. But what I'm trying to say is I don't think Golden State is as bad as they've looked recently. And I think that at anything over one possession plus 3.5 or better, the value actually might be on them.
There's going to be, you're exactly right about the defense of the Warriors. And that, I think, is probably the lone kind of thing that's keeping me away from the Bulls here in this spot. But also, man, the Bulls just have so many different lineup combinations that they can hit you with that are going to be a lot of problems for the Warriors to slow down here on the second night of a back-to-back. Now, granted, some of those guys are unavailable, but with Kobe White playing like he is as well on top of the big names for the Bulls in the starting lineup, like this is going to be a hard one, because not only is Golden State going to have to overcome what should be an amped-up Bulls defense at home with a very loud crowd behind them at the United Center and doing that on no rest, but they're also they're going to have to defend and force this Bulls team out of the paint as well. So all those things, tough assignments for them tonight. But I agree with you. This is a hard one to get involved in right now with the line moving. You're right now. Kind of mad I did. This is another one where the overnight line just had a ton of value and we missed out on it. Move on to the last game here real quick before we wrap it up. It's the Cleveland Cavaliers heading into San Antonio tonight to play the Spurs. Let's see, make sure I'm right on the full game line. Yep, Cleveland minus 3.5 favorite, but it is the first half that Junior and I are on here in this one. So I'll let you go first, my guy, because I already know this is the JB and Jordan connection here tonight. What do you got here on this one?
Yeah, listen, you don't really have to talk me into taking the Cavs. They've been really good to me this season. It still feels super weird, bro, to be betting up the Cavs. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Every time I put my money down, I'm like, I'm this confident in the Cavs. Like, you know what I mean? Anyways, but yeah, they've been really doing it. They're actually a very good first half team. They're just good in general, obviously. They on the season have been very consistent. In the past month, they've been a top 5 team in the first half. They're just really getting it done in every way, shape, or form. And if there's one thing that the San Antonio Spurs are not, it's consistent on their home court. Now, on the season, in case you're wondering, the Cavs are actually the second best team in the NBA in the first half in terms of net rating. So I don't feel like this is a reach at all. Even if you want to take it to the road, like I said, I've taken into account obviously that they aren't as good on the road, but they're still 5th in net rating on the road in the first half. So it's not like they're terrible either. And again, the San Antonio Spurs, for whatever reason, they just don't play as well at home. Yeah, I feel like, obviously my opinion is going to be super biased because if anyone that watches the show regularly knows that I don't really ever get involved with San Antonio. But just to give you guys a better idea, on the season in the first half, they are 20th in net rating at home. They're actually better on the road, which again defines most of what you've seen from them this season. And just team versus team on paper, squad versus squad, this Cavaliers team is going to be a lot for these Spurs to handle, because the one thing the Spurs don't do is shoot a lot of threes. And I feel like against Cleveland, you kind of need that as part of your arsenal, if for no other reason that the Cavaliers don't make a lot of threes themselves. They don't make a lot of free throws. So if you can get some threes up on them, you should be putting yourself in a good position to score more points than them, because their offense is far from elite. It's not terrible. I think they're like 14th, 13th, 14th in offensive efficiency, but their defense is elite. Third in the league in defensive efficiency. And I think that they're going to put the clamps on the San Antonio Spurs team that, again, takes the second fewest threes in the league, makes the second fewest threes, also makes the fewest free throws in the league. They don't really get easy baskets. So I think that's a recipe for disaster against this Cleveland team who's playing good basketball. Jordan, what you got?
Yeah, first half Cleveland. It's in the cards tonight for sure. It's one of my officials here for today. You said it, man. Cleveland on the road defensively has just been, and that's, you can kind of tell a well-disciplined team, well-coached team when they play as well as they do at home, or excuse me, almost as well as they do on the road as they do at home. And on top of that, we could be getting Isaac Okoro back tonight. Just going to improve that defense, even more long-rangey wing player that's going to help slow down some of these Spurs wings, which is going to be needed, especially against a guy like Keldon Johnson, potentially, who could give this Cavs team some problems, because he's one of those guys that could stretch out some of these bigs at the forward position. But Derek White also questionable here in this one. He might be back for the Spurs, but obviously I think you and I are rooting for him to sit out another game. So, and the fact that you have like the 27th ranked home first half defense in the Spurs against the second or third best road first half defense in the Cavs tonight. And like you said, I think a top 5 net rating in that regard as well. Hard for me to get involved with the Spurs here. Definitely one of the easier fades, I think, of the night here in this spot. Cleveland continues to be undervalued in these spots on the road. And I think that you have to, I don't know why, but I'll gladly keep taking value with Cleveland here at only 1.5 points in a spot where they could easily be ahead by 5 or 6, which is where I have it handicapped here at halftime. So yeah, Cleveland first half, I think, is definitely a great play here tonight. JB and I both endorse that one. We're running out of time, so we better get to our officials real fast, because I got one more that I got to lay down. But I'll head over to you real quick first for the officials here tonight. What do you got here on this Friday?
Yeah, I like the Suns a lot. I'm actually probably going to get involved in the Suns first half, but for now, Suns full game -5.5 is an official. Cavs first half -1.5. I'm sorry, I'm in my account right now. I might sprinkle a little Suns first half, Cavs first half parlay. But yeah, I'm cooking up something, Jordan. It's Friday, the weekend. I already told you, as soon as we get off, I'm about to have this ribeye. I'm trying to eat good this weekend, including cashing these goddamn tickets, my guy. You
already told me that Chef Junior is getting in the kitchen tonight. I know. I got the scoop on that early. So yeah, I got a little steak, a little smoothie action today. JB's ready to do it. I have 2 as well. I got 2 today. I got Cavs first half -1.5, and I got the Heat first half -2. This Hawks team is circling the drain right now. They've failed to score 100 points in 2 straight. I know this is a home and home. I know the Heat pretty much had 0 problems dispatching the Hawks in that first matchup, but now at home, I think it's going to be even easier. We might be getting Jimmy Butler back tonight, which is going to add to that. I think it's already gone up to 2.5 too, so the steam is hit it. I got it at 2 earlier, but I think the Heat take care of these dirty birds for the second time in a row here tonight. We got to get out of here. We're out of time. That'll do it for us. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to all the content. Make sure you check out Bookmaker Review as always. And for Junior Browne, I am Jordan Sharp. Best of luck to you tonight. Have a good weekend. We'll see you back here next week. Best of luck to you tonight on your NBA picks.